Excuse me, everyone. Can people move to the front of the room? Can you please sit at the tables at the front of the room? If you're already seated, stay where you are. If you're coming into the room, please seat yourself at the front of the room. Excuse me, everyone. Can people move to the front of the room? Can you please sit at the tables at the front of the room? If you're already seated, stay where you are. If you're coming into the room, please seat yourself at the front of the room. If you're walking in the room now, can you please make your way to a table at the front of the room? Yep, Mitchell and Casey.
Yes.
Yep, no, seen her. She's
got her.
over there, yep. Okay. Apologies to interrupt your conversations. Ministers, members of parliament, mayors, councillors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to the Hume Global Learning Centre for tonight's Northern Region Metropolitan Assembly 2018. Your conversations. Ministers... That was me on delay, just to make sure you know everything's being recorded here. But don't be suspicious. Cole, everything's under control? Yes, great. Okay. It's good that we've resolved that in the first minute. The Northern Partnership is one of 6 metropolitan partnerships established by the Victorian Government, recognising that local communities are in the best position to understand the challenges and opportunities faced by their region. My name is Amy Hubbard and I will be your MC for this evening. My job is really to keep us focused, keep us on time and to facilitate a night of insights and ideas for your region. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we stand, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respect to their elders, past, present and future. Over the next 2 or so hours, you will have the opportunity to learn what and how the 2017 Assembly and Partnership assisted in delivering outcomes for this region. Add your thoughts and play a direct role in setting priorities for action. Tonight, everyone in the room is supported by a table host who is a representative of the government in some shape or form. Who are the table hosts? Hand held high. Okay, so they're here to help you as participants. I'd also like to get a feel for who you are in the room. Who's here to really participate in this conversation tonight? I can see friends from local government, I can see councillors, I definitely know there's members of the community here as well, and welcome. So who represents education? Is there anyone in the room representing education? Okay, I've got a couple of hands. Yep. We've got some students in the room. Who are the students? Hands high. Welcome to the students. Students, we are here to support you all the way. What about people that represent business in the region? Okay. Emergency services? Yep, welcome. Who is an elected representative of local government? And who? Hands held high. How about the other elected representatives? Some of you are sitting at the front of the room. That's you? Yeah? Are there others? Sometimes they're hiding, or sometimes they're running late. Okay, we're all here. Who else is in the room? We've got state government employees, as well as table hosts. Yep. Who else? Who else is in the room? Surprise me. Not-for-profits, welcome. Community groups, welcome. You can yell out from the back of the room. I saw a hand. No? Okay. Any other groups in the room? Health services. Okay. Yep. Science? Yep. Okay. So there's a diverse range of people with a diverse range of interests in the room. Welcome to you all. So the agenda for tonight's assembly will comprise 3 main elements. The first element is about your welcome to the forum. Why are we here? What's tonight all about? What's the assembly process all about? And what has the partnership been up to on your behalf? The second part of tonight will be seeking your feedback on the 2017 priorities. Then, after a short break, we're going to have a deeper discussion into your key priorities for the region. So there's going to be a lot of talking, there's going to be a lot of sharing, there's going to be a lot of really constructive and insightful conversations. So just housekeeping, if you have a mobile phone, and that's not those strange things sitting at your table, like your own personal mobile phone, if you could turn it on silent, that would be appreciated. Bathrooms are down the hall and to the left. Be wary of just safety hazards because we are recording things and there's a few cables and cords around the room, so just watch for those as you're moving about. And we will be having a break at 7:10, But if you need tea, coffee, water, anything to support your participation, please let myself or my colleagues Denise and Ben know. So Denise and Ben are just there at the back of the room. Ben's assisting someone at the moment, I think. But we are here to help you to participate. I would also like to welcome or extend a special welcome to the community members who are participating online. They're viewing the proceedings, and that's why we're recording things, because some of them will view the proceedings at a later date. And we're live streaming through the Engage Vic website. So they will be able to participate in the conversations tonight and the forums, and we never know until after the event how many people are actually online. But welcome to you all. So to reflect on 2017 and to look forward and into setting our challenges for tonight, it now gives me great pleasure to introduce Terry Larkin, Chair of the Northern Metropolitan Partnership. So come on down, Terry.
Thank you, Amy, and good evening to everybody. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. A special welcome to our Minister, Minister D'Ambrosio. I'd also like to recognise our state members who are here, Frank Maguire, Ros Spence, Josh Bull. And I'm not sure there's anyone else in the room at this stage who represents the government. I'd also like to recognise the mayors and councillors from the 7 councils in our region, and of course, particularly ladies and gentlemen, and you're all most welcome. This is our 2nd annual Assembly, and for this year, for the first time, we also have people participating online as part of our visual assembly, so hello to all the people participating at home. The Northern Metropolitan Partnership was appointed by the Minister of Suburban Development and Special Minister of State just 12 months ago, and in that time we've come a long way. Our task is to present strategic advice to the government based on our own knowledge and experience in the region and what the Northern community tell us. That's you, what you tell us your priorities are via our engagement activities and particularly through this annual Assembly. The members of the partnership scattered throughout the room, but perhaps if they stand up and I'll quickly go through and recognise them. Helen Coleman, Deputy Chair, where's Helen over there? Megan Hooper, Carmel Garua, Philip Bain, Mark Maskell, Sue Davies, Sue somewhere, yeah. Dominic Isola, Mark Stomer, I don't think Mark's here. Sue Wilkinson, I saw Sue come in over there, yeah. Simon McMillan, Narina Di Lorenzo, David Turnbull. I don't think David's here yet either. Sorry, David. I knew you were there all the time. From the start, we've been committed to taking a long-term approach to our task and developing an ongoing dialogue with the government, with business and with you, the community of the North. The purpose of tonight is to continue the work we started last year, to let you know what we've been working on and ultimately gain your insights to inform our work as we go forward. Some of you may have attended last year's Assembly, and I think there's about 40 of the gathering here tonight who was at last year's Assembly, which was held in Ivanhoe. So you've had some experience and you'll get feedback on where we've got to from there. The top themes from last year's event were economy, jobs and industry opportunities, transport, connectivity and infrastructure, and education and training. And they were the 3 principal issues that came out of our last year's exercise. The input gathered last year helped form our advice to the government in line with our vision for the North. Our vision for the North is for communities to have opportunities and access to work within the region, to be connected to the environment, have access to lifelong learning, improved health and well-being, where our young people feel connected and our rich cultural diversity thrives. For 2017, our advice to government was based on 5 priority areas, and they were economy and transport, education pathways, environmental connection, health and wellbeing, and empowering young people, and there'll be a report back on that as we go forward. Since submitting our first package to government, we are already working collaboratively with government departments and other stakeholders to progress all 5 priority outcomes. Shortly we will hear from the Minister on how the government responded to the 2017 advice. This region is incredibly diverse. The north includes some of Melbourne's most strategically important infrastructure, such as the Melbourne Airport, Hume Highway, and plays a major role as one of Melbourne's key regional economic and gateways to the Australian economy. We have a rich natural environment in the north, important assets, including the Yarra River and Merri Creek, which serves as a major biodiversity corridor, as well as a centre for local community and leisure activities across the region. Green wedges around the semi-rural areas of Whittlesea and Millenbeck are also key environmental assets that help the region's visual identity and strong connection with the environment. But not everyone has the same level of access to these assets and employment and training opportunities, public transport or community health and services. We want to focus our work on reducing those gaps and progressing better outcomes in our region. We as a partnership are confident that we can do this, but we need your help because the North's greatest asset is the remarkable people that live here. The northern region is made up of 7 local government areas, and I think they're shown on a map somewhere, but I'm not sure where it is. We are entering a time of rapid change and population growth. We need to work collaboratively and plan for the impacts of this change. To do this, we need to hear from you, the people who live, work, study and visit the region. And that's why we're here tonight. We have already sought views from younger people at the Youth Forum on the 7th of May, and we'll be hearing a report back to this meeting tonight. So tonight we want you to tell us what you've seen as the biggest challenges and opportunities facing the region over the next 30 years. And after tonight, the partnership will take what you've told us and start developing our 2018 advice to government. We will investigate the evidence and work through the options with the government and other stakeholders to deliver real outcomes for the region. The North is your region. I encourage you to use this opportunity to have your say what matters to you through the partnership, and we'll report directly to government. Now, Pick My Project, I want to just say some brief comments on that. And if you haven't already, I encourage you all to head online and vote for Pick My Project, which is a $30 million grant program funded by the state government for 2018-19 in their budget that will enable and has enabled communities to nominate and decide on funding priorities for the region. Through Pick My Project, grants of between $20,000 to $200,000 are available to fund projects that may not have gotten up from other grant sources. Over 172 projects have been received from the northern region. I understand that our northern community has submitted some great project ideas. Voting is open, so head online and have your say and get the projects you want to see in your community. So let's continue on this journey and tackle the impacts of Melbourne's growing population by planning for a region that is connected, prosperous and sustainable. Thank you for listening to me, and I have great pleasure to welcome to the stage the Minister for Suburban Development, the Honourable Lily D'Ambrosio. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Terry, and good evening to all of you. And I'm very pleased to be here, not just as the Minister responsible for suburban development, but also as someone who represents the community in this region, and of course someone who also lives in this region. And certainly I would like to also add my formal acknowledgement to the traditional owners, the Wurundjeri people, and I pay my respects to all of their elders, past and present, and any who may be here amongst us this evening. And I also want to acknowledge some people who are on their way, definitely, and that is, of course, the Special Minister of State, Gavin Jennings, who's just walking through the door, and welcome, Gavin. And we will also have Minister for Agriculture and Minister for Regional Development, Jala Pulford, who will be joining us shortly. We also have local members of Parliament, including Ros Spence, Josh Ball, Frank Maguire, Bronwyn Halfpenny, Danielle Green. If there are others here, please put your hands up, but I think I've got everyone listed here. Also, importantly, the mayors and councillors of the cities of Hume, Darebin, Mitchell, Moreland, Whittlesea. And thank you also for hosting tonight. And of course, all of you ladies and gentlemen. Very much delighted to be here for the second annual assembly. And I should, hopefully my voice will hold up, so I apologise in advance if it just conks out at some point. But it's very exciting to be here. I know some of you attended the first assembly last year, but most of you are new to this, and I hope that you find it as rewarding as many who attended the first one, in Ivanhoe last year also found it. We've got a great opportunity tonight to further discuss what we need to help sustain the growth and the development of Melbourne's northern suburbs. And we know, of course, that Melbourne's suburbs are home to 320 suburbs. That's a lot of communities. And within each of those communities are other communities, of course. Each one is very unique, with its own history, its own character, its own sense of community and what that means for them, and their own opportunities and challenges. One thing is for sure, no matter where people live, there is a pride about where people live. But there's also a hope about how we can all work together to improve our communities and where we sit within the broader community, what it means to be community. The diversity is wonderful. It's a wonderful, strong asset, and I think most people see these things as assets. But as these suburbs are the drivers of our city's sustainability, livability and prosperity, we need to, of course, pay attention and listen to all of you who live or work or recreate within your communities. And certainly the northern region certainly stretches across a wide, broad span, from the inner city suburbs of Brunswick, Northcote, Alphington, Ivanhoe, to the outer areas of Craigieburn and Sunbury, and to Kinglake National Park, and the rural and interface communities of Whittlesea and St Andrews, and of course those townships, if I express in those terms. It's a very diverse, vibrant region featuring Melbourne's major airport, arts and cultural precincts, the National Employment and Innovation Cluster at La Trobe, and new growth area communities on the northern fringe of the city. This makes it vitally important that we continue to find the new opportunities like this to come together, to participate and speak up and listen, and then think, what is it that we can do to add value to what is best about the communities that we live in. Communities understand better, all of you, than anyone, the dynamic of your areas and the unique challenges of planning ahead for each one. Now, that's why the government established the Metropolitan Partnerships to ensure that our suburbs do remain great places to live as we continue to grow. For those of you who attended, as I said earlier, the last year's assembly, you'd be aware of the way that the partnerships operate. They are a new way for local communities to engage directly with state and local governments and advise the Victorian Government on the priorities for the region. The partnership has been appointed for 4 years. Each year, the partnership submits its independent advice to government through myself as the coordinating minister on what it sees as the top priorities for jobs, services, infrastructure right across the region. Before submitting that advice, the partnership holds an annual assembly, which is what we're participating in tonight. Your input tonight will inform the partnership's 2018 advice to government. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the partnership and Melbourne's northern community for the hard work that you do. Just one of the key priorities of the partnership, just as an example of how the partnership has identified those priorities, gone through government processes, and then we've provided response. So just not not to say one is more important than others, but just as a couple examples of the priorities. One of them, of course, was education and employment pathways, particularly for young people. As part of the government's response, the government is investing in the northern region in the following as examples. So $400,000 in funding for Melbourne's North Food Group to support the growth of more than 400 businesses, expand access to export markets and develop worker skills in the food and beverage industries. Those industries are particularly renowned and dominant in the northern region. $200,000 in funding to better connect young people to employment opportunities in those transition years. Funding to support tech schools in the Banyule-Nillumbik area and Whittlesea. Investment in 4 new schools, including at Aitken Hill Primary School, Craigieburn, South Preston High, Ashley Park Primary, upgrades to 23 existing schools throughout the north. I won't list them all, but you get the sense of how we've worked in this cycle, if you like, of engagement at the local level, partnerships identifying the priorities, and government responding. The partnership recognised that improving transport connectivity to reduce congestion was also a priority. So the government's committed $2.2 billion to duplicate and upgrade key arterial roads in Melbourne, including roads in the northern metro region, including in Eltham, Doreen and Craigieburn. There's also further funding to add more services to the South Morang line to Mernda, the Hurstbridge line upgrade, for example. So again, getting more services into communities. Funds for improving train station car parking facilities, including at Hurstbridge, Epping, Wallen, Donnybrook, Craigieburn, and planning is underway for station parking at Sunbury. The Northern Partnership also told us that connection to the environment was important, so what we've done as a government is respond with some of these initiatives, $1 million for the Northern Regional Trails Strategy to prioritise and implement cycling and hiking trails priority projects identified by the partnership. There's also funds for transport network infrastructure, including the Diamond Creek to Hurstbridge and Upfield trails and pedestrian and cycling paths upgrades in Brunswick, Pascoe and Heidelberg. There's also on the health side, of course, funding for Stage 2 of Northern Hospital and, of course, the need, absolutely critical need, to improve youth mental health services through a new 20-bed residential facility for young people with mental illness, focusing on early intervention and tailored support. So these are some of the examples of the way that we've decided to do government differently. Listen to all of you, work it through in a regional sense to identify the really key strategic projects and then respond. And that will help make, I think, all of us better identify identify the real priorities that are the most needed by yourselves. So we want to continue, of course, with this partnership, very important for us. We are listening as a government. We understand that your local communities are always changing. As your region changes, of course, and develops, so will your needs and your priorities. So that's why the partnership holds an annual assembly to regularly check in with you on what is happening in the region. So as the people who live and work in this region, you know better than anyone what challenges you're facing and what the opportunities are for your region. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. For some of you, it's something unknown and you're wanting to see what it's like. For others who've come before, thank you for returning. For us, that really tells us that this approach is a really important, meaningful engagement that we want to continue, because we know it's a really terrific way to engage and to deliver results that communities need. It is not the only form of engagement, of course, but it is an important one for us. So please share your ideas tonight, telling us what is important to the people who live, work, study and visit this region. I know that there's going to be some great ideas that will come up tonight. They are all equally valid and important. And your partnership will use your input to advise myself and other ministers who are responsible for the particular portfolio areas to respond to those. So I won't say anything more because I know we want to get on with tonight's event. Thank you very much, and I look forward certainly to seeing the results of the engagement towards the end of the night, at which point we will hear from Minister Jennings too. So thank you again tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I would now like to introduce Megan Hopper from the Northern Metropolitan Partnership to introduce the report back on the Youth Forum that was held this year.
Well, thank you, Amy, and it's so great to be here this evening with such a full room of people. And I have the great pleasure of introducing, as Amy said, some of our young members of the community who participated in our Youth Forum earlier in the year. The Metropolitan Partnerships Youth Forum was designed to ensure that the views of young people are considered in this year's advice to government, because we recognise that the process last year didn't necessarily accommodate effective engagement with young people. About 120 young people from 15 to 19 years of age from schools and community organisations from across Melbourne came together at the State Library of Victoria earlier this year to discuss their experience of living, studying and working here in Melbourne's communities. My fellow partnership member Andrew Crisp and I attended the event on behalf of the Northern Metropolitan Partnership to hear firsthand what the young people had to say about our region and about metropolitan Melbourne in general. And we heard a range of themes, some of which we'd already raised within the partnership and some of which were new and emerged on the day. They include employment pathways, but we heard that young people were looking for opportunities to engage with careers and entrepreneurship opportunities of the future, as well as traditional employment opportunities. They included mental health as well, which was a strong theme that emerged on the day, but also a really strong sense of pride of place in our local communities, from keeping our nature strips clear of hard rubbish, which emerged in the group that I was in, to protecting our outer communities from natural emergencies. But look, rather than let me tell you what young people want, now you get to hear firsthand from two of those participants on the day. So I'd like to invite up Mitch Allen and Casey Hall, who are from Whittlesea Secondary College, who will share with us some of their own reflections about the Youth Forum.
Thank you, everybody. So as said, my name is Mitchell Allen. I'm from Whittlesea Secondary College, and this is Casey. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we are meeting on today, the Wurundjeri Willen people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respect to their elders, both past and present. I'd also like to thank the Minister for Suburban Development, the Honourable Lily D'Ambrosio, the Special Minister of State, the Honourable Gavin Jennings, the Minister of Road Safety, Minister of Ports, the Honourable Luke Donnellan, Minister for Women, Minister for the Prevention of Family Violence, Minister for Aboriginal Affairs, Minister for Industrial Relations, the Honourable Natalie Hutchins, the Minister for Youth Affairs, the Minister for Families and Children, the Minister for Early Childhood Education, Honourable Jenny Makakos, local members of Parliament that are here today, and the mayors and councillors of the cities of Banyule, Darebin, Hume, Moreland, Mitchell, Nillumbik and Whittlesea. And I'd like to thank everybody here tonight.
On Monday, 7th of May, I attended the Metropolitan Partnership Youth Forum at the State Library with 120 other students from across Melbourne and my classmate Mitch. There were about 30 other young people from this region at the forum from a range of schools such as we had Thornbury High School, Hume Secondary College, Mitchell Shire Youth Council and Penola Catholic School.
It was a really great day and a good day to hear from our peers of a similar age and similar stance on everything. We got really good insight about what makes Melbourne Melbourne and what we can do in the future to improve Melbourne.
We were asked to discuss what we love about the Northern region, what we found frustrating or what we wish we could improve. Our thoughts were captured by the storyboard artist, which you can see now on the screen. The most loved features of this region were our diverse and multicultural communities, our public spaces like our parks, community facilities, and its location, as it's so close to the city, as well as nature. Students from the inner part of the region really loved the easy access to public transport, but students from the outer north, like where we're from, Whittlesea, we find it hard and it's really frustrating to get around. There were a lot of discussion about congestion and the frequency of public transport services, and that sometimes we have to rely on our parents to travel across the region like we did tonight. When it came to voting on which of 2017 priorities were most important to us, we chose the health and wellbeing, mental health priority and the education pathways priority.
In terms of education pathways priority, to us that means education and access to that, and how we can move into the future through progression and become the leaders of tomorrow, how we can better the what's called the Northern region on our own when we progress that way.
And on the mental health aspect, we really looked at how to balance our lives for the future, as well as having a easy transition from the school life into the workforce.
And today we'd like everybody to think about how we can leave a lasting impression and legacy for the youth to improve on as time progresses.
At the Youth Forum, we were asked what we would like to add to the list of priorities, and we came up with the following. Improving access to mental health services for young people and making it easier and socially acceptable for young people to access these services. Enhancements to the Victorian curriculum to build in life skills and supports for young people. Environmental protection for future generations, and improving public transport access and equity, particularly in new areas and growing populations.
So now we're going to show you a short video capturing the highlights of the Youth Forum. Thank you, everybody.
I'll say what's unique about my community is everyone is basically different, has special talents, and I feel like even though everyone's different, we can all become one in unity. Even though from different cultures, backgrounds, we can all act as one as people see us as like a team growing together.
Today I'm looking forward to find out more about other parts of Melbourne, such as the southern community, how they go to school, and to find out more about my community and what can help our community improve in such as schooling, activities to help, and just meet new people from other areas such as you and everyone else.
I was definitely, with this forum particularly, I was thinking more that it was going to be about infrastructure and public transport, but I was extremely surprised when they brought up more relevant issues like mental health, environment, something that I'm very passionate about and I want to go in later on to my field of work. The panel, especially, being able to ask questions and get views from people who are refugees, who are nurses, who are like basically people who put themselves out into the community. And I think that that's something that we do need as a youth.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Now, there's a device on your tables in front of you. They're called a Lumi. Who's used one of these before? If you can just put your hand up. So you're the experts in the room. So just so you know, you're the experts. We're going to be using this device tonight for some polling. And the main button that you need to use on the Lumi is the blue button in the middle. That's a scrolling up or scrolling down button. I'm just going to get your table host now to point out that button and just to talk you through the handset. And if the table hosts need any help, please let us know. If you don't have a Lumi or it's not working or it doesn't seem to be working, please let us know also. Just put your hand up if you've got any issues. Okay, we've got a couple of people on table 4 that are having issues, so Denise will be over in a second. Anyone else? There's a person on table 18, so table 4 and table 18, so Denise is coming to help. Now, we're going to test the machines in just a second. So we've got a question for you. It may be controversial. One of our planning students in our office put this together based on his knowledge. So what is the North best known for? And the planning student who put this together, he doesn't live in the North, he lives in the South. So is it about the diverse community? Is it about street art? Is it about cafes? Is it about it being family friendly? Is it about green wedges? He's definitely an urban planner. Is it about nightlife? So there are 6 options there, and to test the Lumi, you can scroll down and select the option that corresponds to your answer to the question. It's not a real question. We're just testing the machine. So the numbers are in. Can I have everyone's attention, please? I can't actually see from my view here, other than I can't see the figure, but I can see diverse community is 76.8% is diverse community. So what was the second, well, runner-up? Cafes, was it? Cafes is number 2. Okay. All right. Interesting. But I just want to reiterate it again. That was just a fun question to see if the Lumi was working. This is not data that we're taking forward in the assembly process, so just put that aside. There were some very, very seriously concerned faces around the room that was a real question. Not. All right. Is anyone having issues with the Lumi now? Because if you are, we've got people on hand. Everyone looks comfortable? All right, let's move forward. Okay, so our first activity tonight is reflecting on the 2017 advice. So the 2017 Assembly and the subsequent advice provided by the Northern Partnership to Government and the Government's response. Each table has an A3 sheet that shows the Partnership's advice and the Government's response. So I think there's one per 2 people, so you may have to share. They're mostly blue or shades of blue. And I would now like to invite you at your table to review the table of information and collectively respond to the following questions. What are your initial reactions to the advice and commitments made since last year? Did we capture everything that's important in the region? If you could add one priority outcome to the advice for 2018, what would it be? Your table scribes will record the conversation. You don't need to do that. If you don't feel comfortable putting your view forward, write it on a post-it note. That's totally fine. If necessary, each table will be able to add one additional priority outcome to submit for polling. So if you come up with something, we will submit that for polling as well. So I'm going to now hand you over to your table host to start this conversation. And at 7:10, we will be having a break, so we'll keep you up to speed with how we're going for time. So over to the table host. If anyone needs any help, please let us know. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask you to finish up that conversation. If you have any additional priorities from your table, can you please hold them up? And one of my team will come and collect them. So just hold up any additional priorities. They're on an A5 sheet. And now we are going to have a break for about 10 minutes. So go and grab a cup of tea or coffee, so just a short break, and then we'll reconvene in 10 minutes' time. Yep. Do you want to bring people in?
For the wireless mics, if you want to use that one. Sorry, let's go somewhere else and talk. That one's the venues one, so it's fine, but it just doesn't go to the live streaming. And that one's got it on the bottom, so I'll turn it on. You should be good to go. It's just not there. Yeah, yep.
Okay, we are going to get started, everyone. Can I invite everyone to take a seat? Please select from the tables that are up on the screen on the PowerPoint. There's 19 tables to choose from, and please choose a theme that reflects your interests. Okay, can I invite everyone to take a seat at your new table? The tables now are themed. As you move into the room, please select a table which best reflects your interests. It's not Denise, it's Denise. Sorry. Okay, if you're not at your new table, you should be moving there right now. We're going to get started, everyone. Okay, we are going to get started. Can I have your attention, please? Can I have everyone's attention? We're going to get started. I'm going to move closer to you so I can look at you and get eye contact. Got everyone's attention? Okay, let's get started. As a result of the first conversation tonight, we have 4 additional themes to our table discussions. We have waste and recycling, we have family violence, we have addressing harmful gambling. And I would like to note that that was the number one action that kind of came to the surface through the Assembly process last year. And we will have seen that some of our local governments have made a fairly firm statement, public statement, about attitudes towards gambling. And thank you, Darebin, as a resident of Darebin, for all that you're doing there. And the 19th table is an inclusive region for all. So you should now be at a table focusing on something that you're either really interested in and passionate about, or passionate about, perhaps you work in that field, but you know something, or you'd like to know more. Is everyone comfortable where they're at? If you need any help, please let us know. That's what we're here for. Okay, we're going to do a quick poll. So our question to you is, can you pick up your Lumi device? And the question is, choose the top 3 priority outcomes you think the partnership should consider for their 2018 advice to government. So you can pick 3 and you can pick them in any order. If you need any assistance, you have a table host, but you also have Ben and Denise to help out. So over to you. We're asking you to choose 3 priorities from the list that's now on your screen. The list is also up on the slides at the front of the room. Okay, we probably nearly have some results. Do we nearly have some results? Not yet? Not yet? Okay. Okay, the numbers are coming in. They're coming in slowly, apparently. Does anyone need any assistance? We're waiting for the big reveal. The numbers are in. So what have we got here? At 38%, we've got local jobs. At 36%, we've got public transport. And then we've got a number of 24%. So at 24%, we've got education and training. We've got mental health at 24%. We've got young people at 24%. Waste and recycling at 24%. We've got family violence at 23%. Health and wellbeing, 21%. So you can see where our priorities are there. Any surprises? You're taking a moment to digest. Did yours not? Did yours not work?
Hi, I was at the forum last year and I was just wanting to state how disappointed I am that environment was just classified with regional trails when that wasn't what we talked about, and I couldn't select that item because it's so narrow.
Thank you. All right. I'll have a look at some of the other comments that came back through and come back to you on that. Now you're at your tables, we are going to have some time for more in-depth discussions where you can drill into the priority outcome at your new table. I invite you to work with your table host to discuss in detail what is the real issue we can impact, what are the opportunities, and how will we know we are successful. So over to you and your table host to have a more detailed conversation around your priority focus area.
We'll just wait.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to finish up that conversation. I am going to head down now to the table at the end of the room. So this table here focused on young people. Okay. I think everyone is moving their chair back from the table to say, I don't want to speak with the microphone right now, but do we have someone that can give us some headlines? And now they're all pointing at someone at the table. So are you comfortable just to say a few words?
I can hold the microphone for you, Milan, and then you can hold this. Do you want to stand up? I think would be good. Do you mind?
All right, so my name is Rinat, and we are the Young People Table. We brought a few good ideas that will help our community and help the young people. So we talked about, oh, sorry, can I hold that mic? So we talked about programs to educate parents on how to prove, sorry guys. Okay, I'm not good at public speaking, sorry guys. So we talked about how we need to introduce more programs that will educate parents in mental health and in health and well-being for the young people, because we often neglect the fact that young people go through a lot of stress, a lot of mental issues like depression, anxiety, and a lot of stuff that is not discussed in our community. So I feel like maybe via schools and via like small ventures, we can actually create that program that will help teach parents and give that, like, close that gap between parents and young people or their kids. We did talk about, what else is there? Did we talk about? Yeah, we talked about not just parents, but as well with young people. Like, we need to create a network of social support. So we discussed about how we can, since our community is divided right now, even though we all come from the same, not background, so we all come from Africa, we got people coming from Asia, we got people coming from like Australian born, and we got people from Europe. However, we all do share the same culture, which is the Australian culture that we did grow up into, and we did go to high school, and we are kind of into the Australian culture. So I feel like we can actually bring us young people and get to know each other and get to discuss these stuff between each other rather than with our parents. And maybe that will give us more education and more knowledge about support programs, will give us more idea about peer support and what it is like. What else did we talk about? All right, so we did talk about being work ready as well, because a lot of schools do not offer work experience for young people, and young people are going out there after high school not ready for work at all, without any experience, and will often get jobs at McDonald's or KFC, and that's it. Like, we wouldn't get that much experience out of it as well. So we do believe that we need to improve the work experience or work ready idea in our schools and actually get young people to be work ready. What else did we talk about? Yeah, that's it, guys.
Oh, amazing. And she said she wasn't a confident public speaker. Is that what you said? You are amazing. Seriously amazing. You can take my job any day. You're great. We're going to go to table 13, and I think you were focusing on environment. And if we could get someone from your table just to make a few comments about what was discussed.
Well, they chose me because I'm a grumpy old man. And I'm standing behind another one. Our table on this particular segment was around environment, and I've forgotten the other bit. Somebody tell me. Sorry, climate change. Strange we should keep those two things together. We had 4 major elements. Firstly, keeping and maintaining remnant vegetation protection and biodiversity maintenance. Ensuring that the government maintains its commitment to the green wedge, ensuring that we have healthy waterways, and absolutely ensuring that we have better waste management in all possible elements of that process.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from table 13? Did you do okay? Okay. What's your name? I won't call you the grumpy old man. What was your name? Oh, he's got something else?
Yeah, I just got reminded. Happens a lot when you're this age, you forget stuff. Oh, geez, mate. The need absolutely to educate everybody in the community, primary school, secondary school, tertiary education. Oh, I knew that bit. And the whole community at large. All right, U3A, you need education about this stuff. Everybody. It's time to get yourself educated.
Okay. Thank you. And now we're headed to table 9. So, table 9, local jobs. You're off the hook, table 10. Oh, there's some pointing of the finger down here.
No, you're right. Okay, one of the two projects we spoke about was, given the rapid population growth in our region, we obviously need additional local jobs for our local communities. Particularly with the demise of the automotive sector, there's a loss of jobs there that also need to be replaced. There's a major opportunity that we've got with the National Disability Insurance Scheme that has been rolled out in Melbourne's north. We're the first Melbourne region to have it rolled out. And there are opportunities not only in the health and disability service sector, because they will need additional people with additional skills. So it's really important that we develop our local workforce to be able to pick up on those opportunities. And the other major opportunity is that assistive technology products that NDIS clients will need in their day-to-day and working lives, 80% of those products are currently imported from overseas. And because they're not custom made, in 50% of those cases, the clients stop using them. So the government is potentially spending a huge amount of money on products that in 50% of the cases are dismantled and thrown away. So there's an opportunity for our local advanced manufacturers to actually import, replace and make bespoke products that actually fit the needs of our clients. We're basically ready to go with a project that will bring the health, education and training sectors and the advanced manufacturing sectors together to actually realise those workforce skills and import replacement opportunities for our manufacturers. So we're very keen for that to go ahead. And okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Just to make sure there's no final comments from table 9, it looked like there was someone, perhaps Mary, did you know you didn't want the microphone?
So Aisha was saying, as a new migrant into the country, there's no opportunity to just at least learn what the system is around jobs and employment. And she'd like to invest in a small business but doesn't know how and would like a connection. So if that's something we can do simply. Is that all right, Aisha? She said, and you're in big trouble when you get home, young lady.
Right. Okay. That's pretty funny. Yeah, yeah. So obviously there's some relationships in the room that we didn't know about. Okay, yes. Warning to everyone, do not get in the middle of the mother and daughter. Thank you, all of you, for participating in the conversations. Everything that's been documented will be provided to the partnership, so that's the job of my team to do that synthesis and analysis and get a report to the partnership about what you have said, what's been front of mind for you here tonight. Before we start sort of closing up the evening, wrapping up the evening, we would like to poll you one more time. So pick up those handsets that you're now so familiar with. And our question to you is, how satisfied are you with the opportunities tonight to share and discuss the priorities for your region? So over to you. Okay, it looks like most people were either satisfied or very satisfied. Those of you that were neutral, dissatisfied or very dissatisfied, come and have a talk to us. We always like to improve these types of engagement processes. So if you've got some ideas how they can be improved in the future, I am all ears. I would now like to invite Terry back to the stage. Where is Terry? The chair? Yep. There's a couple of Terrys in the room tonight. So the Chair of Northern Metropolitan Partnership to provide reflections, key insights into what have you been hearing tonight. Over to you.
Well, thank you very much, and what a wonderful evening it's been. As I sat there and reflected, it's been full of good humour and certainly goodwill towards the partnership. So for that, I thank you greatly. Thanks, Chris, and thank everyone involved with this lively and engaged debate that you've had around the room. It's been great to hear some of your thoughts and insights, and in particular, how can we refine and move our priorities forward, and that's what we've got to do. I was interested in the discussions that came back. We listened to excellent ideas from young people. I was a bit apprehensive when I was telling parents what to do, but anyhow, so be it. Environment and climate change, well, we're there certainly. And jobs. I was sitting on the jobs table, and we had a great discussion on that, because if we're talking about Plan Melbourne and the 20-minute suburb, you've got to have local jobs to achieve that. So I think it's been a very productive evening. All of your inputs have now been captured, and I look forward to receiving a full report back on what we've discussed. Like last year, the Assembly report will be emailed to everyone here tonight, and it will also be available online. From here, the partnership will review what you've told us and develop our advice to government for 2018. We will continue to work with the government and other stakeholders to progress the priorities for the region, and we are committed to work with you to deliver better outcomes for the region. On behalf of the members of the Northern Metropolitan Partnership, I'd like to thank you all for the time of coming here tonight and contributing to these important discussions. Thank you, and I look forward to continuing the work to ensure that we end up with a prosperous, connected and livable northern region. Now, to end the evening, I'd like to welcome to the stage the Special Minister for State, the Honourable Gavin Jennings, for some closing remarks. Thank you, Minister.
Terry, thanks very much for chairing the partnership. Thanks very much to the partnership to bring us together, and certainly thank you to everyone who's participated tonight. From the very start to right now, I've been so pleased to be in your company. One of the things that I noticed from the storyboard from the Youth Forum was one of the things that people loved about this region is its multicultural and its diversity. And it saw that as something that was a huge strength. So whether that be in terms of the respect and the regard that we show the people of the First Nations people of this land through the waves of migration of people who now call this community their home, that pride and that respect that comes shining through as being a hallmark of this partnership in this region should be something that is cherished and nurtured into the future. And so when we rise up and we meet some of the challenges that actually living in this part of the world, as beautiful as this part of the world is and as rich in the diversity and opportunities that abound, there are always challenges in relation to connectivity, in terms of keeping connected, whether it be physical connection, whether it be connected to education, whether it be connected to job opportunities, whether it be connected to health services, and we heard it loud and clear, whether it be connected to mental health services, particularly for young people wanting to be connected to mental health services. We want to make sure that nobody in this community feels as if there is no connection, that at critical times in their life there is nowhere to turn in relation to staying in good order and participating in community life. That's part of our challenge. And this partnership is indicating that that's what you want to do. At my table just now, we talked about family violence and the way in which family violence needs to be urgent, immediate response to women and children who are in crisis and that need wraparound services, and the challenge of those services keeping up with the day-to-day needs, the immediate needs. But if you actually think about family violence has to go in terms of overcoming it as an intergenerational issue. Many of the things that we've been talking about in terms of education, mental health, learning life skills that the young people actually called out earlier on, how do we develop this and future generations with the resilience, the capability and the wherewithal to hold their lives in good order and to live respectful lives? It was a fantastic conversation to be a part of, so I thank everybody at my table for that. I thank all of you because I know from what the thoughtful insights, whether you're concerned about the environment, whether you're concerned about transport connections, whether you're being talked about local job opportunities that need to be seized, everything that you've actually said has a relevance to your community. Everything has a relevance to local government, everything has a relevance to the state government in terms of how we rise up and collectively meet those challenges. It's easier to identify the challenges, isn't it? It's easier to identify the problems than it is to seize the opportunities and actually make them happen. But that's what you've all stepped up to do tonight, and I thank you for that because that's very important. And I'm always inspired with the young people who actually participate in these events. So from Mitchell and Casey, who started us off, to every other young person that I'm trying to make eye contact with as guys I go around the room at this moment, thank you for being here. You're the hope of the side. We're actually looking forward to a great life for you in this community. We want to support you in that way. We're going to be inspired now because Gladstone Park Secondary Pop Chorus Choir is going to take us out with a couple of songs. And they aren't to know this, but you're going to make me cry because when I grow up, Tim Mitchell's song from Matilda is one of the most inspiring, sentimentally sad, optimistic songs that I've ever heard in my life. And if anybody of you has been lucky enough to see the show, when the kids get on those swings and come out over the audience in the middle of this song, it is such a glorious moment. Now, you haven't brought your swings with you, but nonetheless, I'm sure you will move every single person in this room. And then you're going to follow it up with another song, Gold, which is from the musical Once. So you're going to do it in reverse order. We're going to peak with the swing. Okay, so you must be Omar Mustafa. So good on you for actually leading the choir. And we look forward to it. Thank you very much for your participation, and I thank you all. So we'll go out on a good note, give a cheer to the choir before they start, and a big one after they finish.
And I love her so, I wouldn't trade her for gold. I'm walking on moonbeams. I was born with a silver spoon, and I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be free. I'm walking on moonbeams and staring out to sea. And if a door be closed, then a row of homes start building, and tear your curtains down, for sunlight is like gold. And you better be you and do what you branches that I need to reach to climb the trees you get to climb when you're grown up.
And when I grow up, I will be smart enough to answer all the questions that you need to know the answers to before you're grown up.
I will wake up when the sun comes up, and I will watch cartoons until my eyes go square, and I won't care 'cause I'll be all grown up when I grow up. When I grow up, when I grow up, I will be strong enough to carry all the heavy things you have to haul around with you when you're a grown up. And when I grow up, I will be brave enough to fight the creatures that you have to fight beneath the bed each night to be a grown up. And when I grow up, I will have treats every day, and I'll play with things that Mum pretends that mums don't think are fun. And I will wake up when the sun comes up, and I will spend all day just lying in the sun. And I won't burn 'cause I'll be all grown up when I grow up. Brave enough to fight the creatures that you have to fight beneath the bed each night to be a grown up. When I grow up.
So thank you very much, Gladstone Park Secondary College Pop Chorus Choir. Was there a tear in the eye? There was, sorry, there actually was, sorry. Okay, everyone move the eye contact away from Minister Jennings. Thank you so much, it was amazing. I would like to now close the forum. Thank you very much. Make sure that you have your bags, your personal belongings, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy your night.